Greetings from the Erie Coast. This is Mad Shad. I'm in bed. I love my bed. I'll take these off. This. I don't need these. Not now. But I wanted to get this story out. This is the story of Mark. The story of Mark. All right, so see if I can do this. So we all know the story of Malach and the elite occultist, their strive to try to live by the tenets of Moloch, which is, have all the sex you want, but the baby stays on the altar, that kind of thing. The evils of Moloch, Baal, Moloch. And that's what these guys do, is they try to really basically kill everybody on the planet. That's their that's their MO, their modus operandi. But and the idea is that if they kill enough people, that the followers of Malach, the ones that survive, the ones that believe that they are the chosen ones, will receive the power of Malach, and they will be granted amazing powers and over reality and time and space itself. And essentially they believe that they will be gods. Well, mind you, this is a fictional story, okay? This is the mad mind of Shad, right? So, picture, if you will, a person. Me. We're going to say Steve. His name is Steve. Steve studied the elite occultist, the EOs. He's seen their secret rituals, incantations, and he knew what they believed. He infiltrated them. He learned their secrets and their ways. And that's, the way of the unknowing, the unseeing, this death cult, if you will, the quiet doom. And so he got into their writings and their teachings, and their history, which goes back, to the days of Malach, to the time when this was an actual thing. Into the antiquities of man, where altars of Malach were proudly displayed and the worship was open. Of course, that kind of worship leads to certain death of a civilization, because, everybody gets sacrificed. But they still hung on. They made notes. That's the thing. They make notes and grimoires, and write down their incantations and their rituals, and they tried to apply the scientific formula to all their rituals. well, this didn't work, so this has got to work. So we'll try this instead. All of this was passed down to them from a very obscure stone tablet written in cruciform, which they had been trying to decipher for thousands of years. Steve comes along and he's like, well, I don't know. They're trying really hard to figure out these secrets, and maybe I'll give it a shot. And this is present day, right? So we know that the EOs are trying. They have been trying to open this portal to hell. They don't believe in heaven. They don't believe in hell. They believe in Malach, right? So they believe that this trans-dimensional being lives just outside their dimension. It's kind of like an H.P. Lovecraft kind of ordeal, where these beings live in these realms that are far, far away, and that if a portal can be opened, that these beings can be summoned, and their power bestowed upon them, right? Upon the person who calls them. Never mind the fact that there's, the whole destruction of the planet kind of thing. Never mind that. We've all heard the story of Marduk, the name that should never be named. Yeah, obviously it's an H.P. Lovecraft creation, but they had that same kind of ordeal, but they dare say it all the time. And so a very perversion. All perversions are, just they believe that it was kind of like the cult of Cthulhu, where they would indulge in all these perversions, and kind of like that's how they believe they got their power. Aleister Crowley did the same thing. Some of his stuff is very disturbing. He used a lot of sexual magic and stuff like that, but obviously it didn't work. He didn't open any portals. So they tried with CERN, and they tried with sacred geometry and having all these, let's get all the ley lines and figure out the places of power and try to transmortify everything into one specific location. And they've been to Stonehenge and all this and that, and so Steve starts to read this thing and look into the cruciform, the cruciform tablets, and and basically he figured it out. He's like, wait a minute, you guys are doing it all wrong. It's actually this way, and so he does it. And lo and behold, he opens a fucking portal. And this portal opens up, and you could almost think of it as, like a Stargate. And all he did was draw a big circle on a wall, and he said the incantations, and he put his bloody palm on the wall, and whoosh, this thing opened up. And he's like, oh shit, I did it. And he walks in, and he walks into this amazing place, this realm, this room of, it was amazing. It was gilded in gold, and the walls were white, white marble, and just crazy emeralds everywhere, and these floating little singing balls of light flying everywhere. Is very celestial, very beautiful, and had a glow about this place. And he sees off off at the other end of this massive room. There's a figure that's just kind of sitting there on a on a stone looking kind of platform that's floating, just sitting there, Indian style. And the guy is purple. He's purple, and he's got a little bit of a glow to him, but he's got his eyes closed. He's just sitting there. He's got like four arms, and it's got some tentacles on his back, and but he's just sitting there. He's kind of like Buddha almost. So on his floating platform, and Steve just like, hello. and the guy in the corner, the guy on the other end, he slowly descends. The platform slowly descends, and he stands up, and he's literally like 20 feet tall, and he's a giant purple monster, a giant purple being. And he opens up his third eye. He's got three eyes going here and here. He opens up his third eye and looks at him and goes, "Oh God, not again." He goes, "Okay, hello, Steve. Well, we got some explaining to do here. We got some talking. Let's have a talk." And the guy, this god, shrinks down to his size and retracts all his tentacles and keeps his four arms. He says, "Please have a seat." And Steve's like, "Where?" "Right here." And boom, there's a table. Just a wooden table, out of nowhere, just right there. Oh shit. There wasn't one there before. Okay, have a seat. And he goes, "Are you thirsty? Are you hungry?" Boom, there's food. There's like his favorite food, which was cereal, Captain Crunch. And, oh look, there's a nice glass of fucking scotch. Oh, his favorite food right there. He's like, "Please have a seat." And he's like, "Well, so you figured it out." He's like, yeah. Are you Moloch? And the purple being is like, "No, I am Mark. My name is Mark. Not Moloch. My name is not Moloch, but it used to be." And so Steve is blown away. He's like, "Well, are you going to kill me?" He's like, No, I'm Mark. You came to visit. You went through all this trouble to come to my realm to seek me out. So I've been in seclusion for nearly 1,000-something years. So please, let's chat. Let's talk. Let's talk about some stuff. And so he looks at Steve, and he's, I know how you got here, and I know your intentions. And so I think your intentions are good here. You really don't like these people, these evil elite occultists that are actually beginning to rule the world in my name. That's a problem. I don't like that. And that they believe that if they can conjure me, that I will bestow upon them the power of a god and the power of altering reality and time and space itself, and which I can do, yes, but I would never do that. I would never bestow that upon anybody. This is all really just a big misunderstanding, and here's the story into this big misunderstanding, which seems to have created something devastating, and I must make amends. So I will tell you my story. And I will give you the powers that they want so that you could use them. Here is my story. And Steve is just blown away. He grabs the scotch and starts to sip. Mark is telling his story, behind him the basically everything dissolves away into what he's talking about. So basically he's watching a movie as he's talking. Describing a movie is playing out as he's describing in his background, and basically he's just like, hey, this is what happened. So anyway, Mark says, approximately 30,000 years ago, I was 1,000 years old. I was young. My mom and dad, my mother and my father, who were very, very old, and they were very troubled by my attitude. I was young. You in 1,000 years old is very young, and in this realm for us. And I was kind of rebellious, and I was very ungrateful, and always questioning and always making problems, and why do I have to do this? Why do I have to this and that? This is stupid? And just being a dumb kid, right? A dumb adolescent, if you will. And getting into trouble, and creating havoc in the realm, and mom and dad was like, okay, son, I'm going to show you. I'm going to teach you. And they banished me to Earth 30,000 years ago. And for 30,000 years, I lived as a human. I died as a human. And was reborn as a human. And then lived as a human. And died as a human. For 30,000 years. And each time, never losing my consciousness. Never forgetting anything. A immortal stuck in a mortal's body. And so you can imagine, or can you, the experiences I had. So my first, when I was banished, of course, I was mad. I was angry. So why would my father and my mother do this? My mother was very beautiful, and she was very loving. She was very caring and nurturing. My father was very stern, yet very, very wise, extremely wise. And I thought it was very rash of them to banish me to this existence where I lived as a human, knowing full well that I was a god, and knowing that every time I died, I would be reborn again. And I remember my father's words. He said that, I will teach you. He didn't say he was going to banish me or punish me, And he's like, you're going to be, I'm going to teach you a lesson. It's a very valuable lesson. And you will stay there until you learn it. And so, in the beginning, Charity, what are you doing? Are you okay? Okay. So in the beginning, I was mad. Oh, thank you, Charity. Kisses. I was very mad. Oh, this is a rare treat. Hey, thank you, Charity. Okay. All right, thank you. Hey, buy me a drink first. Folks, this is getting serious. Oh. Okay, stop. Please, thank you. The answer is no. All right, I enjoy your treats. So in the beginning of Mark's, banishment, he's very mad. He was angry. He didn't understand a lot. So he raged. His first life was, he was born and grew up as a kid, and nobody could understand him. He was speaking the language of a god. If there was such a language. So when he would try to speak, nobody could understand him. Obviously, because he was a baby, gaga goo goo and shit, right? So when he grew older, he tried to explain to them, hey, this is not right. I'm not supposed to be here. You're not my mother. You're not my father. And oddly enough, his parents killed him. They banished him outside the cave of whatever caveman existence there was 30,000 years ago, and they banished him outside the cave once he learned their language, and he ridiculed them and mocked them and fought them. They kicked him out of the cave, and there he died in the cold, until he was close to death, and wolves ravished him and killed him, eventually, eating him. And so he's reborn. And to his shock, he's like, what the fuck? What the hell was that? No answers. Nobody's telling him anything. He's stuck in this existence, trying to figure shit out. There's no words from up high. There's no, words of wisdom. There's no clues. Nothing. And so once again, he's born to a mother and a father, and they're traveling. They're with a traveling tribe, and they're hunting the bison. And his whole ultimate survival is based on being able to move and to eat and to provide for their family, and fend off attacks from other animals and other people. Very tribal, very, very, very violent death and life cycle. He was still rageful. He was still very rageful. Like I said, he's only 1,000 years old, and so once again, he's ridiculing these beings, these people. What the fuck are you? And with your two arms and your two legs and your white skin, or your with your frail skin. And he doesn't last long there either. He makes it to about an adolescent and gets trampled by a bison. He'd never seen one before, so they take him on his first hunt, and he gets trampled to death. So boom, there you go. I mean, and so on and so forth. This goes on and on and on throughout history, and he just the whole time for thousands of years, he's just like, what the fuck you all, And finally, he starts to kind of get a little malevolent. And he understands that he if he calms down and he starts talking, and talking to people, he can influence them. He can influence them to do his will, do his bidding. And he comes up with these amazing little stupid little things, and he sees the weakness of man to be able to, they need to follow something, but they also need to kill. And his understanding of this man creature, this body that he's trapped in, from birth to death, to birth to death, to birth to over and over and over again. Countless lives he has lived, in every race and culture and place that he is born, he has died and reborn into, and then died again, and it just, and each time he has to learn new things, learn new languages, learn new cultures and rules and laws and traditions, and he understands that he can be better, he can have a better life, a better existence, if he controls everybody. And so that's what he does is every time he starts to, he's like, well, I'm a god, so I might as well act like a god. He starts to influence them and create a religion. And one of them, of course, was Malach. He was there for the Aztecs. He took great joy in watching, countless people, getting sacrificed to him and their hearts ripped out. And he thought it was funny as hell. Like, these people actually fucking believe that they can gain power by ripping somebody's heart out. Blood flowing everywhere. The whole time he's just lying to him. Every time he's fucking just lying to him, just making up shit. Same thing with Moloch. He gets to Baal and Moloch, and all those little religions. He just starts making them up. Like, this ought to be fun. And he has a great existence. He learns that okay, they will actually try to kill me. So he has to influence his ways, that influence people to protect him, because he is a god, or he is a priestess or something, a priest. He was also born different genders as well. So, male, female. He's been them all. And so he carries on with this throughout thousands of years, and so you can imagine where he's been and what he's done. He never really had any real godly powers, even though he was a god, and he was to grow into a god. But his banishment to this plane of mortality and no powers, he learned influence. He learned how to influence people, and he learned that was a tool. That was a great tool. He could get shit done. He could get people killed. He could influence them into building these massive structures for no apparent reason. He could get them to go to war. He would pit both sides against each other for whatever reason. just for his pure enjoyment and a type of survival aspect. He figured, if they're killing each other, they won't kill me. Well, he was assassinated a few times. He got a little crazy there coming up throughout the years. And there was a time when this guy named Shakyamuni Gotayama came around, and he heard the stories of the Buddha. He's like, what the hell is that shit? You know, he had such a disdain for the human existence that he wanted to end it all. He didn't see any good. He couldn't see any good. The only good he could see from people in this existence was food, sex, and that's it, basically. He liked food and he liked sex. And he liked to kind of influence people into doing his own bidding, right? And so he figured that was a good the best defense is a good offense, and influencing people to that extent was the best offense. So he would hide in the shadows, and or he would become a figure. He would literally take the role of the patriarch and go forth and conquer. He'd been in wars. He had been fight. He was a great skilled warrior, as you could imagine, being thousands of years old on this planet. Learn a thing or two about fighting. But when this Buddha came about, something he kind of questioned it. He was kind of drawn to the Buddha. And so he learned a lot about this new thing called Buddhism, and because he liked the idea of, okay, the goal is to achieve nothingness. It's kind of appealing. If you're stuck in a mortal cycle of life and death for thousands of years, not knowing when it will end. He was on the verge of going mad. And at some times he did go mad. There were times when he just cut off, he would do things in front of, on a party. Go, hey, everybody, watch this. And just cut off his arm. Poof, throw it at somebody. Laughing the whole time, So he would do weird shit and didn't care. He did not care for his body. He didn't care what he did to it. Over time, he realized, okay, well, I got to, take it easy here. Pain's still a real thing. The human condition is still a real thing. And yes, he died from sicknesses. He died from illnesses and poisons, and he died just about every conceivable death you can possibly imagine. He died. He experienced. And each time he would feel the pain of birth afterwards. So the Buddha promised him nirvana, a state of nothing, because he was still mad at mommy and daddy for banishing him. So he didn't want to be a part of that. Although he did want to end this existence, this constant life and death existence. But he was still mad at Father for banishing him, for teaching him a lesson. A lesson you will learn, or you'll stay there until you learn it. So he seeked out the teachings of Buddha, and it was intriguing. And although he didn't really get it, it did kind of quell his bloodlust and his malice a little bit. Because he wanted to try to figure it out. He's like, oh, karma. Karma. Shit, after thousands of years, yeah, I've been getting a lot of bad karma, huh? Karma is karma. Okay, all right, yeah. Well, fuck. I'm fucked. Is that it? Is that all I gotta do? Is just be cool, be good? You know, not kill anything? All right. So he tried it. He tried it. He tried to join a monastery, and he tried to join a monastery, a Shaolin monastery. And he's like, hey, I want to be a monk. You know, I want to live a simple life, and I want to live a somewhat a peaceful life. You know, and they said no, go away. And he's like, damn, that was harsh. No, really, I'm very wise. I can teach you a lot of things. And he started to talk about history, things that he knew, things that he had seen. You know, you can imagine the amount of wisdom and knowledge. I'd say knowledge, information. It was more like information that he knew he had. He had information. He could tell you about certain plants and certain animals, and you know, things on the human body, and you know, things like that. He could talk about, you know, how to build amazing structures, and you know, complex mathematics, and you know, constellations and stars. He learned all this information, you know, throughout his thousands of years on this planet. He couldn't forget it. He was tired of learning shit. He was tired of learning. He was tired of having to learn everything. He was tired of having to learn how to talk a different language every time he was reborn. You know, he was tired. He was just tired. He's like, look, I'm just tired. I just want to just be nothing. Just leave me alone. You know. And somebody told him and said, hey, you know, just sit here. Sit here at the gates of this monastery and endure the hardships, and endure the starvation and all that, and endure the elements, and they'll take pity upon you and let you in. But you're going to be here for a while. He's like, oh, that's easy. So he sat there. He started to starve. He didn't drink any water. And every day they would open up the gates and he'd ask, can I come in? He'd go, nope. And they'd close the gates. Weeks go by. On the 2.5 week, he's sitting there just groggy and out of it, going in and out of consciousness. And when he comes to consciousness, the door's open. This guy comes out really quickly and hands him a bowl of water and some rice, and then runs back in. Like, what? Oh, and then days go by. So you're just sitting there. Every day, the gates open up. Like, can I come in? Nope. No. And so finally the rain comes, and it's really, really fucking cold, and he's just sitting there, just sitting there at the gates. And he's starting to shiver and freeze. Thunder and lightning. Rain would not stop. It rained for days. He's sitting there just... And then finally the doors open. He said, can I come in? Can I come in? I said, come into the courtyard. Come in. Sit right here. you know, and he can barely he stands up to walk, and his legs, they can't move so good. So, he kind of crawls in. They let him crawl in. They're not helping him. He crawls in. They give him a reed mat. Here you go. Sit on that. And they wrap him in some, give him like 3 or 4 blankets, wool blankets. So even though he's wet and miserable, he's still warm. So he sits there, and every day there's a little bowl of rice and a little bowl of water that he gets, and he just sits there. People walk by. They don't even pay him any mind. They don't even look at him. They're all walking around. They got stuff to do. They got a purpose. He sees people sweeping. He hears bells. Bong, bong, bong. Every day, different times of the day. He hears chanting, he hears this going on, and he hears in the background, rah, 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 rah. These people practicing kung fu, and he sees that he's in the courtyard now. And he sees that there's the temple. All these monks are going in. They're all old, and they walk right on in. The door's open. They walk in. The door's closed. And then while he's just sitting there for days and days on end, just sitting there, close to death. He has a cough. He's frail. Hasn't eaten well in a long time. The only thing he's been eating is bowls of rice. They didn't tell him that the bowls of rice were literally just the leftovers that people were donating. One guy was walking around with a little bowl going, "You want to give to this guy?" "Yeah, okay, here you go." Somebody would throw a pinch of rice in there. And one person would give one grain of rice, all cooked, There you go. The water it's right there. They just pour it right out of the well. Here you go. Boom, done. So he was literally getting the leftovers that everybody was donating to him. And sometimes it wasn't much. Sometimes it was a lot. But he sat there. And his hopes was that he could be accepted into this monastery and be a Shaolin monk, and he will understand nirvana, nothingness. He wanted to learn the secrets of nothingness. So finally, after months of sitting in the courtroom of the courtyard, the inner courtyard, finally the Dalai Lama, the Lama, the high guy comes in, comes up to you and goes, "Buddha bless you. Why do you wish to be a Buddha?" And Mark is like, I just want nothingness. I want nirvana. And the Lama is like, "Well, you've been out here for months. Absolutely months. You've been out here longer than anybody else has ever been. And you have never given up. Everybody else would have died or left. All you had to do was leave. There's a village right down the hill. They would have taken you in, given you food and shelter and medical supplies. They would attend to your injuries. Could have eat meat. We don't eat meat here. All we offer here is more suffering." And suffering is common to all, as you understand. And Mark Mark was at his wit's end. He's like, you don't understand. I need nothingness. I cannot go back. And I don't want to stay here. It's like, I am a god living amongst men. I need your nothingness. The Lama's perplexed. What? What? And Mark just lets it out. It's like, I've been alive for thousands of years. I've died, born and died and born and born and died, born and died, died, born and died. I can tell you the most gruesome ways that I've ever died, and I can tell you the most peaceful ways I've ever died. But every life has always been hell for me. I've had some fun, done a lot of evil things. And I just want it to end. I want the suffering to end. The Lama is kind of perplexed by this. He's like, are you sick in the head or something? You're a human. we all, suffering is coming to all. We all live our lives, and then we die. There's no escape. Your only escape is death. Here we try. Here we escape the outside world. Yet the outside world infiltrates. I've rebuilt this temple 3 times. It's been destroyed by fire and war countless times. Even here is not safe. This perplexes Mark. He's like, you promised me nirvana. Buddha promises nirvana. Nothingness. I want nothingness. The Lama is like, well, to achieve nothingness, you must be very, very still. And you've been very, very still for a very long time. Have you not achieved some type of nirvana in your suffering? Mark is like, wow, you're kind of right. All my lives, I've ate well. I've been very, very generous to myself. I've been rich. Even when I was poor, I would steal. I would always become affluent and have abundance, and you know, once I died from gluttony. I ate too much. I ate so much that I died. Ate myself to death. There are times that I starved. There are times when I committed suicide because I was starving. But here I was starving, yet I was hoping, that hope that I would be accepted and learn the secrets. And the Lama's like, the secret's here. But it's actually inside you. That's where the secret lies. Not within these walls. These walls and these grounds are a way and means to the temple inside you, to the understanding that you seek. But it's only for you to find, not for me to tell you, not for me to show you. I can help you along and hold your hand, but ultimately it's up to you to attain nirvana. It's not something that's granted. Mark is furious. Rah! He's smashing his hand on the stone ground and talking, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You fucking humans. As he's smashing his hand on the ground, it's breaking, it's bloody, and he doesn't care. He's mad, he's pissed. And the llama is just sitting there, just, yeah, you're not ready. You're not ready. Get out. Out. It's like, damn it, rah, and I'm gonna kill you. And Mark stands up and balls up his fist. And, rah! Now, mind you, he's in a very frail state. He's close to death. He hasn't been eating a lot. He's very, very skinny. And he approaches the llama, as with some amazing speed, actually. He is, thousands of years old, so his will is pretty strong, when it comes to fighting. So he lunges at the llama, and the llama just says, "Get out!" and just smashes him right in the head, knocks him down. And then from there, all the Shaolin monks show up with sticks and start to beat him until he leaves. And he's fighting with the monks, and it's crazy. He manages to hurt a few of them, but not too many. He doesn't kill anybody. He's in a very frail and fragile starvation, and skinny as hell. He weighs who knows how much. He's skinny as hell. So they beat him. They break his legs. And he crawls out of the monastery, and he crawls down the mountain and into a cave that he had encountered before. And he's just sitting there. He's like, fuck him. I'm just gonna sit here till I die. Fuck him. He just stares at the wall, just mad as hell, and every now and then he'll punch the wall. Damn you, father! Why hast thou forsaken me? Fuck you! He's pissed. He's mad. And his legs are broken. He's in pain. And now he's like, I'm done with. Fuck this. This didn't work. So, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for death, and figure it out on my, say something, do something new, wait for my new life, my new rebirth. And as he's sitting there, his legs just broken, a couple days go by, and some young monks come to visit him. And they come with rice, water, new clothes, medicine. And he sees them. He's like, "Argh!" He's all mad and, "Argh, fuck you," and turns his back to him and stares at the wall. And he refuses to talk to them. They set down the food, and they set down the water, and they set down the clothes. They light some candles. They make some chairs, and they make some walking sticks to walk with, and they're trying to help him out. And anytime they get close to him, he just lashes out, "Rah! Leave me alone." He's very ferocious. He just wants to die. Mark just wants to die. He's done with it. He was this close, and his conversation with the llama just went south, and he's done. He's fucking done. Fuck it, And while he's sitting there, his back to all the monks, and his back to the entrance to the cave, all these monks come in, and they're all sitting there chanting and talking, and every now and then somebody ask him a question, and he'll quickly just turn it around and go, "Rah!" Give him a fucked up answer, and finally, after days of not sleeping and being mad and everything, he passes the fuck out. He hasn't eaten for days. He hasn't eaten or drink water or anything and he just passes out. And so he wakes up, 3 or 4 days later. He's been asleep for like 3 or 4 days, and he's fully clothed. He's cleaned. His legs are bandaged up. They're still broken. He's a cripple now, cannot walk. But he noticed that they've been force feeding him too. So, feeding him and giving him water and everything while he was asleep. Nursing him back to health. He wakes up. He sees he's in a bed. He's still in the cave. And there's candles everywhere. And he's like, oh God, here we go again. I've started a cult again. Damn it. The great influencer, I'm starting a cult. But he doesn't want to be the great influencer anymore. The words of the Lama, the lessons that he learned at the gates, at the steps of the Shaolin Temple, they start to kind of seep in. It's like, yeah, for a while, I reached nirvana. But it was through hope and suffering. Through suffering and hope, he had a type of epiphany. He had a bit of relief from his evil life. He forgot about his thousands of years of banishment and reincarnation, forced reincarnation on this planet. And knowing everything that he knew, not losing any type of memory of anything, of any of his experiences. And so he's kind of laying there. He's like, wow, maybe there's something to this. I don't know. And so he gets up. His legs are crippled, so he has to use the walking sticks, and he has to hobble around his little cave. And, he goes outside. And he goes outside and experiences everything like it was the first time. The sun, the warm sun upon his face. Green trees. Moving in the wind. The sound of the rustling leaves. The birds. There's running water. There's a creek over there. Bugs flying by. He notices all these things. The ants scurrying down by his feet. The little chipmunks and squirrels in the trees, scurrying around, doing things. Wow. He's blown away by it. He's blown away by the beauty. He's blown away by as much as he can perceive. He is perceiving all this at once in vivid color. There's a type of joy and ecstaticness in his heart. You can't understand it. Flush, his head gets, it's like a head rush. And he's like, wow. The sky, blue with white clouds. He sees the beauty of this planet for the very first time. He doesn't know why. For thousands of years he's lived here. Never experienced this. Because he was mad. Quite mad. But now he's a little little different kind of mad. Wow. He's amazed. Absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed at everything. It's like it almost makes sense. Almost. It's beautiful. He's not thinking about nirvana. He's not thinking about anger. He's really not in pain. He's experiencing everything. Down the path come some monks. He doesn't see him yet. He's watching everything. Finally, they get close, and they're talking to each other as they're walking. Young monks as they do. They're still young kids, laughing and cutting up with each other. They see him standing out there, and they stop. They see what he's doing. He's just marveling at everything. This look of awe on his face. Wow. They're like, oh, hey, Mark, bless you, Mark. They're amazed that he's up and walking around. There was a guy there that was at the outside of the cave. He was like the watchman. He was asleep. They were coming to, he had been there all night. Every night somebody has been there with him while he was protecting the cave and watching over him every day. Finally, that guy wakes up. Oh. Sorry, sir. Sorry, Mark. He's like, where'd you come from? Oh, you've been here all the whole time? Didn't see you there. The guy was all passed out snoozing. Probably heard him snore. I don't know. These monks finally, they're like, Master. They're calling him Master. He's like, I am not your master. No, I am not your master. No, I am, no, far from it. No, I am not your master. And they're like, that's okay. Okay, Master. Stop calling me a master. My name is Mark. Just call me Mark. Okay, Mark, can we go inside? Yeah, we'll cook you something. Wow, okay. We brought tea. We brought some dumplings. We brought, some duck. Whatever. Let's talk. So they go in, they talk. They're asking him questions, and he does tell his story. He says, look, I've been here for thousands of years. And, I've been a tormented soul. I've been tormented all this time until now. And they all kind of laugh, like, wow, yeah. You're touching on enlightenment there. We like to call it satori, but it's where everything starts to kind of make sense. But that's just the beginning. They're like, really? He's like, yeah, really. Yeah. Most people, when they experience that, they run off to the woods to experience the woods, to experience nature, to experience, everything. Or they dive into the teachings and the sutras, and they dive. Basically, they dive into the academics and study. He said that for the young, we practice the martial arts because we are young. And that type of martial arts, with Tai Chi, Qigong, and Kung Fu, it gives us a little step into the enlightenment, a little glance into the enlightenment, and maybe some way that we can achieve nirvana. And so they tell him the story of Buddha and how he achieved nirvana and how he did basically the same thing you did. He starved himself to death, literally on the brink of starvation. And that he found that the middle path was the way, and that he finally he went about he figured it all out, and did not die but achieved nothingness and nirvana, and has moved on from this realm. It's like, wow, maybe that's the story of my father. Maybe that's where my mother and my father come from. And Mark starts to read the sutras. He's never read the sutras, and he's like, that sounds like my home. It sounds a lot like my home. There's celestial flowers, floating around like fucking balls of light. I thought it was very annoying. Beautiful music and, tapestries of lapis and lazuli and gold and emeralds and all this, glowing, beautiful, loving light. And I found it very annoying, very boring. I was a kid of rampacious, rebellious nature, and I needed to get out. I needed to, I couldn't go nowhere. There's nowhere to go, except there. Everything was this. Everything was what you described here in this book. Sariputra, thus I have heard. But he doesn't believe that his dad was Buddha. Because the sutras tell him that, Buddha achieved nirvana and from time to time would come out of nirvana. But anyway, he doesn't believe that Buddhism is the way. But he does believe that this nirvana, this nothingness can still be achieved. So he tries, and he tries to meditate, and he practices what's called wall meditation. He went back to the wall where he shunned the world, turning his back upon them. For him, he was turning his back upon them, and now he is meditating to the wall. And he starts to achieve a type of awareness. He starts to understand a little bit more about this human condition that he's stuck in. And the monks that were hanging out with him, they hung out with him for years. He never went back to the monastery. He liked his cave. And he kind of found a little bit of peace, and he hung out with the monks, and they would talk, and they would bring him food, and things like that, and he would just hang out, have a good time. They would talk about things and practices, and study. They would get drunk. Somebody brought some wine, and he's like, oh yeah, I like wine, hell yeah, and they had a good time, and he really enjoyed that. He really enjoyed that. And, well, he was getting old. He was getting very fucking old. He was getting around in his 70s, and this life was very hard for him. He had 2 broken legs, crippled. He was crippled by the monastery. That's probably why he didn't want to go back. But, he learned that. He's like, I don't want to go back because of my pride. Pride is keeping me here, but I like this. I like this existence. This life has been the most different life I have ever lived. Thousands upon thousands, millions of lives that I've lived. This one is different. And so finally he dies. Dies an old man in his bed in the cave. And the monks that he hung out with and were friends with, monks that helped him, the young monks, they grew up to be other monks and prominent in their monastery, and they kept this story of the Lord Tamo, this fiery, stubborn old man. Oddly enough, had red hair. Red hair and blue eyes. But, yeah. But just another another existence that he had. They went on to learn and implement things that he had taught that they had talked about, even though he was very naive for being 6,000-7,000 years old or whatever. So carrying on his next life, he's born just some poor kid, in India. And as he had a peaceful childhood. He was very understanding of his parents, and basically he was just waiting his time that he could walk and talk, and then he could leave. And he was strong enough that he could leave, so he spent all his time in nature, all of his time. Every single day, he would sleep out there sometimes at night. And mommy and daddy would try to put him to bed, and they would find him in the morning, sleeping out in the front in the wilderness in the front yard, of the little village. Like, you're gonna catch a cold. He's like, oh no, I'll be fine, mom and dad. I'm good. I love it out here, under the stars and the trees and the birds. Like coyotes and bears and wolves and tigers. Snakes. Yeah, I love it. It's great. Lizards. I let them crawl over me. I don't mind. I enjoy it. I just thought he was a weird kid. You're a weird fucking kid. But there might be something to that. And of course, he didn't tell them anything about himself. Nothing. And things started to get a little crazy around the village. They're like, your son is very special. He's 10 years old, 11 years old. He's sleeping outside. He's talking to the wildlife. He doesn't talk much to anyone else. He doesn't play like other kids. Yeah. There's no school. There's no school yet. So he doesn't play with the other kids. He doesn't yell, cuss, scream, fight. There's none of that going on. He just spends all his time with nature. The dogs and the cats love him. He's giving them food. He's petting them. He's playing with them. Your kid is special. He might be a reincarnated God. Oh, this is special. So, all the elders come to the Mark's home and they start asking him questions. What do you think of this? What is your answer for this? Do you believe we'll have a bountiful harvest? And Mark is just like, oh, God, not again. Not again. Not again. He answers their questions in a very matter-of-fact way. Nothing profound at all. Basically, yes or no answers. And when they all leave, he gathers all his simple little belongings and tells his mom and dad, I gotta go. Bye. I love you. See you. I'll probably never see you again. I'm leaving. They're like, no, son, you have to stay. He's like, no, I can't. You just see what happened to the villagers. This has happened many, many times before. I gotta go. I'll be wandering the wilderness. Thank you very much until my death. Yeah. So that's what he does. From 11 years old until, who knows, lives to a ripe old age of an old man. He just wanders the earth, keeping himself in the wilderness. Nothing but a stick, fire starter. That's maybe a knife, a little backpack, a little bag, simple clothes. He stayed away from people. Anytime he's seen people or perceived people, he would hide. Just run away. They would see him. whoa, who was that? The guy was very fast. Wow, he's climbing trees like he's a monkey. He's hanging out with monkeys. So these people would see him from time to time. And, he's the wild man of the forest. Many, many stories brought up around him. But nobody could ever talk to him. Nobody could ever hang out with him. And so they even tried hunting him. He's very crafty and very cunning. In his past lives, he would have used savagery. Remember? Savagery, cunning. He would have killed them all. This time he just ran and hid. He did not want to influence anyone anymore. He was done with it. He knew the dangers. And so he lived out his life, talking to the birds and the snakes and the trees, bears, bobcats and dogs and wolves and owls, feeding them, caring for them when they got sick or hurt. He ate fruit. From time to time, he would eat some meat. He would find a dying animal, and put it out of its misery and eat it. So from time to time, he would eat some meat. He would fish. Oddly enough, he never could connect with fish. So he's kind of like, fish don't have feelings. So he ate a lot of fish, but a lot of rice, very simple fruit, herbs. He knew what to eat in the woods. He knew it. He knew what not to eat. So as he was growing really old, he's like, wow, you know what? I've done something that I bet that nobody's ever done before. That's lived their whole life in the woods, in the wilderness as a wild man. I really need to share this. Share some of this knowledge with people about these plants and these animals. It's a really important thing. And so finally he goes back home. He goes back to the village. An old man. Gray hair, stick, clothes, old simple clothes. But he walked with a purpose. He wasn't frail, he was strong. And he came in to the village. And he found that his mother and father had died. He kind of figured that. After talking to some folks, he's like, "Where's so and so and so and so? Oh, they died. But their place is up there. Their offspring still lives there. They still run the family farm." It's like, family farm? Really? Wow, that's great. So he's okay. So he goes there, and sure enough, his old family. Mother and father had passed away a long time ago. His siblings, 2 of which he knew, but the other 7, he had no clue who they were. They were after his time, after his leaving. Like I said, he left when he was like 11. So, but the brother and the sister, younger brother and sister, he knew them, and they knew him. And they're like, "Wow, Mark." Or whatever your name is, whatever their name, they tried to name him. He's like, "Well, hey, brother, sister." He didn't really feel a real good connection with them, or because he's had many brothers and sisters, being reborn many, many times into many, many families. But he said, "Look, I've been out in the woods, in the wilderness for all my life, and I've had a great time. Had a great experience. I've learned a lot. I wish to share it I wish to write it down somehow, preserve it. You know, the brother, the patriarch of the family, the older brother, if you will. He he was the oldest brother, but the younger brother who was in charge was kind of threatened because he thought, oh shit, we got a good thing here. We've created a farm, huge farm. It's pretty big. We're pretty well off here, and so you showing up is a threat to my patriarchy. He's like, no, I don't want any of that. Mark says, I don't want any of that. I don't care for any of that. I want to get this experience down. That's it. That's all. And the younger brother wanted to kill him. Mark knew that too. Mark's like, I don't care. You can't kill me until after I get everything down. And trust me, I will stop you. I'm better than you at fighting. I'm better than you at this game. I've been doing it for thousands of years. So just help me out and I'll leave, or you can kill me. Matter of fact, that's the deal. The deal is I will give you the secrets. All I ask is that I get help to get this down, my words, onto paper or something, recorded. And then you can kill me. And keep your farm, your precious little farm. And so the deal's made. Binding. And the village heard about this. They're like, whoa, wise man from the wilderness. Wow, they're all like, oh, this is great. Oh, yeah, the wise man, please teach us, please. Oh, master. And here he goes. He's like, oh, God, here we go again. It's like, no. I will share with you my writings, my teachings, but only after my death. Until then, I will tell you nothing. But the villagers, knowing this deal, kept the prodigal son to his deal. Because it's binding. Even though he was sneaking and conniving and thinking, I can just poison this old man at any time, and this is, threat's over. But the villagers knew this too. They're like, he's a devious one. He's going to try to kill Mark. So they protected him, and the old man was given a house, a hut, on the because it is his land. By right, it is his land. The farm is his. And so the villagers, with their law, protected the old man, old Mark, and they helped to, every day he talked, and every day someone wrote down what he said. For years. Almost 3 years. And while he was on his deathbed, he was blurting out the very last thing. And they're all standing around. And of course, for 3 years, the son has been kept away from him, or the brother, the younger brother, has been kept away from him because they knew he talked about it. They knew his intentions. And on his deathbed, the young brother shows up. To watch him die, to finally, inherit the farm, and to keep his patriarchy. And while Mark is laying there in his bed dying, he's still writing, he's still speaking. At this point, there has to be someone there, because he can barely speak. And so someone has to sit there and listen, and then speak to the person and tell them what to write. And so Mark dies.